The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched before Captain Jin-Woo Park like a crystal cathedral. Hundreds of alien beings filled the massive space, their voices creating a low hum that echoed off the shimmering walls. Each species had their own section, marked by floating translation devices that turned their words into something humans could understand. Jin stood alone in the center of the chamber. His dark blue uniform felt heavy on his shoulders as thousands of eyes watched him. Some of those eyes had 3 pupils. Others glowed with inner light. A few belonged to creatures that looked more like living rocks than anything else. The Valdorian Chancellor rose from the highest platform. Her pale skin seemed to glow in the chamber's soft light, and her 6 arms moved gracefully as she spoke. "Captain Park," she said, her voice carrying easily through the vast space. "You stand here as the representative of humanity. Today, the Galactic Council will decide your species' future." Park kept his face calm, even though his heart was beating fast. Behind him sat the human delegation. Scientists, diplomats, and military officers who had worked for decades to build relationships with alien species. Now all that work might be destroyed. The Chancellor continued. "For the past year, this council has reviewed humanity's actions in galactic space. We have studied your conflicts with the Zephyrian Empire. We have examined your military responses to border disputes. We have analyzed your species' behavior since joining galactic society." A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed human ships in battle formations, firing weapons at Zephyrian vessels. Park recognized the Battle of Kepler Station, where human forces had defended a trade route from Zephyrian raiders. "The evidence is clear," said a voice from the Tritanian section. The speaker looked like a giant mantis, with clicking mandibles that the translators turned into words. "Humans respond to every problem with violence. They escalate conflicts instead of seeking peace." Park wanted to argue, but he stayed quiet. The council had rules about when defendants could speak. More holographic scenes played out. Human marines boarding Zephyrian ships. Human fighters chasing alien raiders through asteroid fields. Human commanders giving orders that led to decisive victories against aggressors. "In every case," the Chancellor said, "humans chose the most aggressive path available. When diplomacy was possible, they prepared for war. When negotiation was offered, they demanded total surrender from their enemies." The Aquarian delegate raised a tentacled arm. "My people have observed human behavior for 30 years. They are too dangerous to remain in galactic society. Their instincts make them unsuitable for peaceful coexistence." Park's jaw tightened. The Aquarians had never fought a real battle in their 1,000-year history. They lived in underwater cities and traded with other species, but they had never faced the kind of threats that forced hard choices. "We call for a vote," announced the Ketherian representative. The tall, thin alien stood on legs that looked like silver branches. "Humanity must be removed from galactic space. For the safety of all peaceful species. They must return to their home system and remain there." The voting began. Each species announced their decision through their translators. The votes came in steady waves. Exile, exile, exile. A few species abstained, but none voted in humanity's favor. Park watched the tally rise on the central display. Out of 237 species, 215 voted for exile. 22 abstained. 0 supported humanity. The Chancellor's 6 arms spread wide as she delivered the final judgment. By overwhelming majority, the Galactic Council finds humanity guilty of excessive aggression and disruption of galactic peace. Effective immediately, all human settlements outside the Sol system must be evacuated. Humanity has 30 galactic standard days to complete this evacuation. After that time, any human presence beyond your home system will be considered an act of war against the entire galaxy. Silence filled the chamber. Park felt the weight of that silence, pressing down on him like a physical force. decades of human expansion into space, 53 colony worlds, hundreds of trading stations, and research outposts. All of it would be abandoned. The Chancellor looked directly at Park. "Do you have any response to this judgment, Captain?" Park stepped forward. His voice carried clearly through the chamber without amplification. "Honored delegates," he said, "you have made your decision. Humanity accepts your judgment." Murmurs of surprise rippled through the alien sections. They had expected anger or pleas for mercy. Park continued. "But understand this. You exile us, not because we are evil, but because you fear what we might become. You remove us not because we break your laws, but because we remind you of conflicts you would rather forget." The Chancellor's expression did not change, but several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "We came to the galaxy seeking friends and trading partners," Park said. "We found beauty and wonder among the stars. We also found species that prey on the weak and empires that take what they want by force. When we defended ourselves and others, you called us aggressive. When we won battles that others could not fight, you called us dangerous." Park looked around the chamber, meeting as many alien gazes as he could. 30 days is not much time to abandon everything we have built. But humanity has faced impossible challenges before. We survived ice ages and plagues on our homeworld. We reached the stars despite having no one to teach us how. We will survive this exile too. He paused, letting his words sink in. And when we do, the galaxy will remember which species stood with justice and which stood with fear. Thank you for this lesson in galactic politics." Park turned and walked toward the exit. The human delegation followed him in perfect silence. Behind them, the chamber erupted in arguments and shouted discussions. As the doors closed behind the human group, Park activated his communication device. "Dr. Chen," he said quietly, "initiate Protocol Exodus. We have 30 days to leave galactic space." Dr. Sarah Chen's voice came back immediately from Earth. "Understood, Captain. The Exodus fleet will be ready in 25 days. We're not going quietly into exile. Lumen. Lumen. Park smiled grimly as he walked through the station's corridors. The aliens thought they were sending humanity away in defeat. Instead, they had just given humans the motivation to become something greater than they ever imagined. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the massive wall display in the Global Defense Command Center on Earth. Red dots showed the location of every human settlement in galactic space. 53 colony worlds, 312 research stations, hundreds of trading posts and mining operations. All of it had to be evacuated in 30 days. "Status report," she called out to the busy command center. Major Kim Yuki stepped forward with a data tablet. "The first evacuation fleets launched 6 hours ago. We're pulling people from the Outer Rim colonies first. The civilian transport captains are pushing their ships harder than ever before." Sarah nodded. Every available human vessel had been pressed into service for the Exodus. Cargo haulers, luxury liners, scientific survey ships, and military transports all worked together in the largest evacuation in human history. "What about the infrastructure?" Sarah asked. "Admiral Tanaka's teams are following Protocol Exodus guidelines," Kim replied. "Anything we can't take with us gets destroyed. Factories, shipyards, communication networks. We're not leaving the aliens anything useful." Sarah walked to the Central Command console. Protocol Exodus had been her idea, developed in secret over the past year as human relations with the Galactic Council worsened. Instead of a panicked retreat, it was a strategic withdrawal that would leave humanity stronger than before. "Show me the fleet composition," she said. The wall display changed to show ship classifications. Transport vessels carried civilians and essential supplies. Industrial ships hauled manufacturing equipment and raw materials. Science vessels preserved decades of research data and experimental technology. But the most important ships were the ones Admiral Yuki Tanaka had specially modified. Former luxury liners had been converted into mobile habitats. Cargo ships now carried hydroponics bays and life support systems. Military vessels had been equipped with deep space sensors and exploration equipment. "Dr. Chen," came a voice from the communication station. "Admiral Tanaka is requesting permission to begin Phase 2. Sarah took a deep breath. Phase 2 would change everything. Put her through. Admiral Tanaka's face appeared on the main screen. Behind her, the bridge of the UHS Horizon buzzed with activity. "Sarah, the outer rim evacuations are ahead of schedule. My people have done something remarkable with the civilian ships." "What kind of remarkable?" Sarah asked. "They're not just transport vessels anymore. Each major ship now functions as a complete community. Living spaces, workshops, gardens, schools. We've created a fleet of mobile cities that can operate independently for years." Sarah felt a surge of pride. Human adaptability at its finest. "What about supplies?" "We're not just taking what we need to survive," Tanaka said with a slight smile. "We're taking everything that makes us human. Art, music, cultural archives, libraries of literature and historical records, even seeds from Earth's rarest plants." Major Kim looked confused. "Why carry extra weight during an evacuation?" Sarah answered before Tanaka could respond. "Because we're not just evacuating. We're transplanting human civilization to a new location. When we establish ourselves beyond galactic space, we want to remain fully human." The communication officer called out again. "Priority message from Captain Park, at the Nexus station." Captain Park's image replaced Admiral Tanaka's. He looked tired, but determined. "Sarah, I've received some interesting information from neutral species. Several Galactic Council members are having second thoughts about our exile." "Sarah." "Which species?" Sarah asked. "The Altarians, for one. They depend on human trade for rare metals. The Procyon are worried about increased Zephyrian aggression, without human forces to keep them in check. Even some of the smaller species are starting to question whether removing humanity was wise." Sarah exchanged glances with Major Kim. "How confident is this intelligence?" "Confident enough that Ambassador Lee is already working on contingency plans," Park replied. "But more importantly, we've detected something else. Long-range sensors have found traces of ancient technology beyond the galactic rim. Whoever built it was more advanced than any current Council species." Sarah's mind raced. Ancient technology could be exactly what humanity needed to establish themselves as a major power. How far beyond Council space? "Axon. 3 months travel at maximum speed. The energy signatures suggest abandoned structures on multiple worlds. Someone built a civilization out there, and then disappeared." "Orders, Doctor?" Major Kim asked quietly. Sarah looked around the command center. These people trusted her to guide humanity through its greatest crisis. The safe choice would be to find an empty system and hide until the galaxy forgot about them. The bold choice might make humanity stronger than ever before. "Captain Park, continue monitoring the situation at Nexus Station. Admiral Tanaka, modify the fleet's course. We're not looking for a hiding place anymore. We're going exploring." She turned to address the entire command center. "People, humanity is about to become something new. For 300 years, we explored Earth's oceans and continents. For 50 years, we've explored our local region of space. Now we're going to explore the unknown regions beyond galactic civilization." The staff worked with renewed energy. On the wall display, projected flight paths showed the human Exodus fleet heading toward the galactic rim instead of seeking refuge in empty space. Admiral Tanaka's voice came through the speakers. "Sarah, what about the aliens who voted against us? When we come back, they'll remember this." Sarah smiled grimly. "Oh, they'll remember. They'll remember that they tried to exile humanity and instead gave us the motivation to explore beyond their boundaries. They'll remember that they thought they were sending us away weak and broken. She gestured toward the display showing human ships streaming away from galactic space. But we'll come back stronger. We'll come back with knowledge and technology they can't imagine. And when we do, they'll realize their mistake. We have the one. We were made G. We will see. Major Kim looked at the evacuation timeline. 22 days remaining. All outer colonies will be evacuated in 18 days. The inner colonies should be clear with time to spare. Excellent, Sarah said. And Kim, make sure our people understand something. We're not refugees fleeing into exile. We're pioneers, heading toward humanity's next great adventure. As the hours passed, more ships joined the Exodus fleet. Each vessel carried part of human civilization toward the unknown regions beyond the galactic rim. Behind them, they left empty worlds and abandoned stations. Ahead of them lay mysteries that might change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Sarah watched the fleet's progress and felt a surge of confidence. The Galactic Council thought they had solved the human problem by forcing exile. Instead, they had just given humanity the greatest opportunity in its history. The real question was not whether humans could survive in exile. The question was what they would become during their time in the unknown regions, and what they would bring back when they returned. 6 months beyond the galactic rim, the human Exodus fleet discovered something impossible. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the research vessel Prometheus, staring at the massive structures floating in space around a yellow star. The ruins are definitely artificial, reported Lieutenant Park Jin-ae from the sensor station. Material composition unknown. Energy readings are off the scale. Whatever built this technology was far more advanced than anything in Council space. Sarah studied the holographic display showing the alien structures. They looked like geometric crystals the size of cities, connected by bridges of pure energy. Some of the structures were clearly damaged, but others still pulsed with unknown power. Any signs of current inhabitants? Sarah asked. Negative. The ruins appear to have been abandoned for thousands of years. But Doctor, the energy signatures suggest the technology is still active, still functional. Captain Jin Woo Park's voice came through the communication system from the fleet command ship. Sarah, we've found something else. The fourth planet in this system shows signs of a massive ancient city. Completely intact. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. An intact alien city with technology beyond galactic standards could change everything for humanity. Orders for the fleet? Establish orbit around the fourth planet. Send down exploration teams immediately. And Sarah, bring your best xenoarchaeologists. If we're going to understand this technology, we need experts. 2 hours later, Sarah stood on the surface of the world they had designated Haven. The ancient city stretched to the horizon, its towers and spires reaching toward the sky like frozen music. The architecture was beautiful but alien, with curves and angles that hurt human eyes to follow too closely. Atmospheric composition is perfect for humans, reported Dr. Lee Min-jun, the team's xenobiologist. Almost like this world was designed for oxygen-breathing species. Temperature, gravity, even the day-night cycle are within ideal ranges. Sarah approached the nearest building, a spiral tower that seemed to twist reality around itself. As she got closer, panels on the tower's surface began to glow with soft blue light. Motion sensors? More than that, said Dr. Kim Soo-jin from the tech analysis team. She held a scanner that was giving impossible readings. The structure is responding to your presence. It's trying to communicate. Sarah reached out to touch the glowing panel. The moment her fingertips made contact, images flooded her mind. Not painful, but overwhelming. She saw the beings who had built this city. Tall, graceful creatures, with silver skin and large eyes that held ancient wisdom. She saw their technology, their ships, their eventual departure from this world. "Sarah," Dr. Lee called out. "Are you all right?" Quote, "I'm fine," she said, though her voice shook slightly. "Better than fine. The city is teaching me, showing me how their technology works. And I think I know why it's compatible with human engineering." Before she could explain further, alarms sounded from the human ships in orbit. Captain Park's voice crackled through their communication devices. "All teams, return to the ships immediately. We have incoming vessels. Unknown configuration." The exploration teams rushed back to their shuttles, but Sarah remained calm as they lifted off from Haven's surface. The mental connection with the ancient city had given her knowledge that changed everything. The beings who built this place had been explorers like humans. They had faced threats that required strength and adaptation. As their shuttle reached the fleet, Sarah saw the new arrivals on the tactical display. 5 massive ships, unlike anything in her databases. But she wasn't afraid. Somehow, she knew these newcomers were not enemies. Captain Park's voice filled the communication channels. "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Jin Woo Park of the Human Exodus Fleet. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The reply came in accented but clear human language. "Human vessels. This is War Leader Thok Nor of the Kethvar Exiles. We come seeking those who were cast out by the Galactic Council, as we were cast out long ago." Sarah quickly accessed the historical databases. The Kethvar had been a warrior species that challenged the Council's authority 300 years ago. They had been exiled to the Galactic Rim and never heard from again. "War Leader Thok Nor," Captain Park responded. "We are indeed the exiled humans. What brings you to this system?" "The same thing that brought you, I suspect. The call of the precursor ruins. The Ancient Ones left gifts for those brave enough to claim them. We have been waiting for another exiled species to find this place." An hour later, Sarah found herself in the fleet's main conference room, facing the largest humanoid she had ever seen. War Leader Thok Nor stood nearly 8 feet tall, with gray skin marked by ritual scars and eyes that glowed with inner fire. His people looked like humans, if humans had been built for war. "The precursors," Thok Nor explained in his deep voice, "were the first species to achieve galactic civilization. They explored beyond the rim and found things that the current Council species cannot imagine. When they disappeared, they left their technology for those who would need it most." "Exiled species," Sarah said, understanding immediately. "Exactly. The Council exiles those who threaten their comfortable order. The precursors planned for this. Their technology only responds to species that have been rejected by galactic society." Captain Park leaned forward. "What kind of technology are we talking about?" War Leader Thok Nor activated a holographic display. It showed Kethvar ships that looked nothing like the vessels they had arrived in. These were sleek, powerful craft that made Council warships look primitive. Enhanced weapons, faster than light drives that exceed galactic standards, shields that can withstand anything the Council species possess. But more than that, the precursors left knowledge. Star maps showing worlds beyond Council space. Industrial techniques that can build fleets in months rather than years. Sarah felt excitement building in her chest. "How long have your people been using this technology?" 200 years. "We have built a civilization in the void that rivals anything in Council space. But we have been waiting." The precursor's final message was clear. When another worthy species found their ruins, the real work would begin. "What real work?" Captain Park asked. Thok Nor's scarred face showed something that might have been a smile. "Returning to galactic space. Not as exiles begging for readmission, but as conquerors claiming our rightful place." Dr. Lee Min-jun looked uncomfortable. "You're talking about war against the entire Galactic Council." "No," Sarah said quietly, her mind still processing the knowledge she had gained from the precursor city. "Not war against everyone. Justice against those who deserve it." The precursor's technology doesn't just make us stronger, it makes us smarter, more capable of choosing our battles. She activated her own datapad, showing intelligence reports from Captain Park's contacts in Council space. The Zephyrian Empire has been expanding aggressively since our exile. They're taking former human territories and threatening smaller species. The Council can't stop them because they removed the only military force that could stand up to Zephyrian aggression. Captain Park studied the reports. You're suggesting we return as liberators. I'm suggesting we return as equals, Sarah replied. We were exiled for being too strong. Let's show them what real strength looks like. War leader Thaknor nodded approvingly. The humans understand. Together, our species can give the galaxy a lesson in power and justice. Over the following days, human and Kethvar engineers worked side by side to integrate precursor technology with their fleets. The changes were remarkable. Human ships that had been fast became incredibly swift. Weapons that had been effective became devastating. Defenses that had been adequate became nearly impenetrable. But more importantly, the two species discovered they worked well together. Human adaptability, combined with Kethvar warrior traditions, created something greater than either could achieve alone. Sarah stood on Haven's surface one last time before the combined fleet prepared to leave. The ancient city still glowed with precursor energy, but now it felt like a benediction rather than a mystery. The beings who had built this place had faced their own exile long ago. They had survived, grown stronger, and left gifts for those who would follow. Now it was humanity's turn to show the galaxy what exile could create when combined with determination and ancient wisdom. The combined human Kethvar fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system like a storm made of starlight and steel. Admiral Yuki Tanaka watched from the bridge of the redesigned UHS Horizon as her sensors detected the Zephyrian occupation force that had claimed the former human colony. Tactical assessment, she ordered. Commander Lee Sung-ho consulted his enhanced displays. 47 Zephyrian vessels in system. They've established military bases on the surface and orbital platforms around the planet. Standard Council-era technology. Admiral Tanaka almost smiled. Standard technology seemed laughably primitive compared to what her fleet now possessed. 6 months of working with precursor technology had transformed every human and Kethvar ship into something that would have been impossible before exile. War leader Thaknor, she called through the communication system. Are your forces ready? The massive Kethvar commander appeared on her screen. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship Vengeance showed warriors preparing for battle with ritual intensity. Admiral Tanaka, my people have waited 3 centuries for this moment. We are beyond ready. Admiral Tanaka studied the tactical display. The Zephyrian Empire had taken over 15 former human colonies since the exile. They had justified this expansion by claiming the worlds were abandoned and needed galactic stewardship. What they really wanted was the industrial infrastructure humans had built over decades. All ships, Admiral Tanaka broadcast to her fleet. This is Admiral Tanaka. Today we announce humanity's return to galactic space. We are not here as conquerors seeking revenge. We are here as liberators, reclaiming what was stolen. Show them what real strength looks like. The battle began with a demonstration that shocked the Zephyrian fleet. Human ships enhanced with precursor technology moved faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking with weapons that cut through Zephyrian shields as if they didn't exist. But it was the tactics that truly amazed observers. Instead of overwhelming force, Admiral Tanaka used precision strikes. Instead of destroying enemy ships, her forces disabled them and broadcast surrender terms. Instead of carpet bombing the surface installations, human marines landed and captured key positions with minimal casualties. Zephyrian command vessel, Admiral Tanaka, called on all frequencies. This is Admiral Tanaka of the Human Liberation Fleet. Your occupation of Kepler 442b ends now. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences. The Zephyrian admiral who responded had the arrogance typical of his species. Human ships, you are in violation of your exile orders. Leave galactic space immediately, or face the full power of the Zephyrian Empire. Admiral Tanaka's response was swift and decisive. The Zephyrian flagship found itself surrounded by human vessels that had appeared from nowhere. Kethvar boarding parties teleported directly onto the bridge using precursor transport technology. Within minutes, the entire Zephyrian command structure was under human control. Admiral, the defeated Zephyrian commander said when Admiral Tanaka appeared on his bridge, your exile forbids military action in galactic space. The Council will never accept this aggression. Admiral Tanaka looked at him with something approaching pity. The Council exiled us for being too aggressive. Let's see how they feel about real aggression. She gestured to the tactical display, which now showed the Zephyrian fleet completely neutralized. Your ships are disabled. Your bases are captured. And your forces are prisoners. But here's what's interesting. None of your people are dead. None of your ships are destroyed. We could have eliminated your entire force in the first 5 minutes of battle. The Zephyrian admiral's face showed confusion and fear. What do you want? Justice, Admiral Tanaka replied simply. You took colonies that belonged to humanity. You justified this theft by claiming we were permanently exiled. Now you'll learn what happens when humans decide they've been exiled long enough. Within hours, news of the battle spread throughout galactic space. The broadcasts showed something unprecedented. A human fleet with technology beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed had defeated a major Imperial force without destroying it. The humans had returned not as desperate exiles, but as advanced warriors showing restraint and mercy. Captain Jin Woo Park received the first diplomatic contacts, while Admiral Tanaka secured the Kepler system. Ambassador Lee Min-jun worked around the clock to respond to dozens of species, seeking private meetings with human representatives. Captain, Ambassador Lee reported from his makeshift diplomatic center, we're getting contact requests from 43 different species. Most interesting are the ones from Galactic Council members who voted for our exile. Park studied the list. The Aquarians want to meet? They were some of our strongest opponents. Apparently they're having problems with Zephyrian expansion into their territory. Same with the Altarians and Procyon. It seems removing human forces from galactic space created a power vacuum that the Zephyrians have been filling. Dr. Sarah Chen joined the discussion from her research vessel. She had been analyzing the political intelligence gathered during their return. Jin, it's worse than a power vacuum. Without human military strength to balance Zephyrian aggression, 3 minor species have already been absorbed into their empire. 5 others are under direct threat. Park felt the irony of the situation. The Council had exiled humanity for being too aggressive. Now, they faced the consequences of removing the one force that could contain actual aggression. What's our position? Park asked. Ambassador Lee consulted his notes. War leader Thok Nor suggests we demand immediate reinstatement to the Council, with permanent seats for both humans and Kethvar. Doctor. Quote, Doctor. Chen recommends we negotiate from a position of strength, but show willingness to cooperate with reformed galactic governance. And what do you recommend? Park asked. Lee smiled grimly. I recommend we let them sweat for a while. Every hour we wait, more Council species realize they made a mistake. Every day the Zephyrians expand, more aliens understand what they lost when they exiled us. Park nodded. The transformation was remarkable. 6 months ago, humans had been desperate refugees fleeing galactic space. Now they were the most advanced military force in the galaxy, with the power to reshape galactic politics. Admiral Tanaka, Park called through the communication system. What's the status of our forces? Admiral. All objectives secured, came the immediate reply. Kepler 442b is liberated. Zephyrian forces are contained. And Captain, we're getting long-range sensor reports from our scout ships. The Zephyrians have pulled back from 3 other systems. They're afraid to face us in open battle. Everything's report for. And to 51cations.com. War leader Thoknor's voice joined the conversation. Captain Park, my people are detecting significant movement in Galactic Council space. Emergency sessions, diplomatic missions, military preparedness alerts. The aliens are very concerned about our return. Park looked at the tactical displays, showing human and Kethvar forces now controlling a dozen star systems. Advanced technology, superior tactics, and most importantly, a unified purpose had made them the strongest power in this region of space. Good, he said quietly. Let them be concerned. Let them remember what they lost when they chose fear over friendship. And let them consider very carefully what terms they're willing to offer for peace. Dr. Chen's voice carried a note of satisfaction. Jin, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Council. They're requesting immediate negotiations regarding humanity's, and I quote, possible return to galactic society. Park smiled. The word possible was interesting. It suggested the Council still thought they had leverage in this situation. They were about to learn otherwise. Dr. Chen, prepare for travel to Council space. Ambassador Li, draft our initial negotiating position. And Admiral Tanaka, maintain alert status. We're going to renegotiate humanity's place in galactic civilization. What should I tell the Council? Dr. Chen asked. Park's smile grew wider. Tell them we'll consider their request for a meeting. The same crystal chamber that had witnessed humanity's exile now hosted a very different gathering. Captain Jin Woo Park entered the Galactic Council chambers, not as a defendant, but as the leader of the most powerful military alliance in the galaxy. Behind him walked war leader Thoknor of the Kethvar, Dr. Sarah Chen, Admiral Yuki Tanaka, and Ambassador Li Minjun. The chamber felt smaller than Park remembered. 6 months ago, it had seemed vast and imposing. Now it felt like what it was. A meeting room where frightened politicians gathered to discuss problems they could not solve alone. The Valdorian Chancellor still occupied the highest platform, but her 6 arms showed signs of stress as they moved restlessly. Around the chamber, alien delegates whispered among themselves in dozens of languages. The translation devices worked overtime to convert anxiety into understandable words. Captain Park, the Chancellor said, her voice lacking the authority it had possessed during the exile proceedings. The Galactic Council welcomes you back to discuss terms of cooperation. Park remained standing in the center of the chamber. 6 months ago, he had stood in the same spot as a supplicant. Today, he stood as an equal. Chancellor, we appreciate the invitation. However, we are not here to discuss cooperation. We are here to establish the terms of humanity's return to galactic society. Murmurs rippled through the alien sections. Several delegates exchanged concerned glances. The Tritanian representative, the same giant mantis-like creature who had demanded human exile, clicked his mandibles nervously. Captain, your recent military actions violated the terms of your exile. The Council cannot simply overlook aggression against member species. War leader Toknor stepped forward, his massive frame drawing attention from every delegate in the chamber. Honored delegates, you exiled my people 3 centuries ago. We accepted your judgment and built our own civilization beyond your borders. When you exiled the humans 6 months ago, we offered them alliance. Together, we have created something you cannot match. Dr. Chen activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed the current map of galactic space, with human-controlled systems marked in blue, and areas of Zephyrian expansion marked in red. Since our exile, Dr. Chen said in her calm, scientific voice, the Zephyrian Empire has absorbed 3 independent species and currently threatens 5 others. They have expanded into 15 former human territories and established military bases throughout the galactic rim. The Council has proven unable to contain this aggression. The Aquarian delegate raised a tentacled arm. The human return has destabilized the balance of power. Your alliance with the Kethvar threatens galactic peace. Admiral Tanaka stepped forward with a slight smile. Delegate. In the past month, our forces have liberated 12 worlds from Zephyrian occupation. We have restored independence to 3 species that were absorbed into their empire. We have provided protection to minor species that the Council could not defend. How exactly does this threaten peace? Ambassador Lee activated another display. This one showed casualty figures from recent conflicts. In every engagement, human and Kethvar forces have prioritized minimizing loss of life. Our weapons disabled rather than destroyed. Our tactics focused on capturing rather than killing. Compare this to standard Zephyrian military doctrine. The second display showed Zephyrian conquest methods: orbital bombardment, mass displacement of civilian populations, and complete subjugation of defeated species. The Council exiled us for being too aggressive, Park said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Yet, you allowed a truly aggressive empire to expand unchecked in our absence. The question is not whether humanity threatens galactic peace. The question is whether the galaxy can afford peace without humanity. The Chancellor's 6 arms gestured for order as arguments broke out among the delegates. Park exchanged glances with his companions, then faced the assembled aliens. First, immediate recognition of the human Kethvar alliance as a sovereign galactic power. Second, permanent seats on the Galactic Council for both species, with veto power over exile proceedings. Third, compensation for the illegal seizure of human territories by the Zephyrian Empire. Several delegates gasped at the audacity of the demands. Fourth, Park continued, establishment of new galactic laws preventing arbitrary exile of member species. Fifth, creation of a galactic defense force with human and Kethvar forces as core military units. The Ketherian representative, the silver-branched alien who had called for exile, stood on his tall legs. These demands are outrageous. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy. War leader Thoknor's scarred face showed amusement. Delegate, we are not dictating anything. We are offering you a choice. Accept our partnership in creating a more just galactic order, or continue trying to maintain peace without the 2 most effective military forces in the galaxy. Dr. Chen added her own perspective. Honorable delegates, humanity and the Kethvar have gained access to technology that far exceeds current galactic standards. We could use this advantage to conquer rather than cooperate. Instead, we offer to share selective advances with species that prove themselves worthy allies. The implications sank in around the chamber. The humans and Kethvar could take what they wanted by force, but they were offering partnership instead. The Chancellor called for a recess. For 2 hours, the alien delegates argued among themselves, while the human delegation waited calmly in a side chamber. When the session resumed, the Chancellor looked older than before. Captain Park, the Council has reached a decision. We accept your first, second, and fourth demands. The matter of compensation will require negotiation with the Zephyrian Empire. As for the Galactic Defense Force, we propose a trial period of cooperation. Park nodded. Acceptable as a starting point. However, there are additional conditions. Any species that supported our exile will be required to provide reparations in the form of trade agreements favorable to human interests. Any species that abstained from the exile vote will be offered preferential partnership terms. Any species that opposed our exile but was overruled will receive protection guarantees from our alliance. The chamber erupted in protests, but Park continued speaking over the noise. These are not punishments. They are consequences. Your decisions 6 months ago had results. Now you live with those results. Ambassador Lee stepped forward to deliver the final terms. The Zephyrian Empire will withdraw from all occupied human territories within 60 standard days. They will pay reparations to displaced populations. They will accept permanent monitoring by human Kethvar forces. Failure to comply will result in direct military action. And if we refuse these terms? Asked the Tritanian representative. Park's expression remained calm. Then you refuse them. The human Kethvar alliance will continue to exist as an independent power. We will continue to liberate worlds from Zephyrian occupation. We will continue to offer protection to species that request it. Eventually, there will be 2 galactic powers instead of 1. The choice is yours. The voting took place immediately. Unlike the exile vote, this time the result was not unanimous, but it was decisive. 197 species voted to accept human terms. 26 voted against. 14 abstained. As the final vote was recorded, Park felt a sense of completion. Humanity had been exiled as a dangerous species. They had returned as the most advanced military power in the galaxy. But more importantly, they had returned with wisdom gained through adversity. War leader Thoknor placed a massive hand on Park's shoulder. Captain, our species have achieved something remarkable. We have turned exile into opportunity, defeat into victory. Dr. Chen smiled as she watched the alien delegates beginning to discuss implementation of the new galactic order. The precursors would be proud. Their technology went to species worthy of wielding it. Admiral Tanaka checked her tactical displays. All human and Kethvar forces are reporting successful establishment of territorial control. The galaxy now has protectors who earned their authority through strength and wisdom. Park looked around the chamber where humanity's fate had once been decided by others. Now, humans helped decide the fate of galactic civilization itself. Ambassador Lee, he said quietly, begin drafting the new galactic accords. Make sure they include provisions preventing what happened to us from happening to any other species. As the human delegation left the chamber, Park reflected on the transformation. 6 months ago, aliens had called humans too aggressive for galactic society. Today, those same aliens depended on human protection from actual aggression. The exile had taught humanity valuable lessons. It had forced them to become stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. Most importantly, it had shown them that rejection by others did not determine their worth. Humanity had not found its place in galactic civilization. It had made its place through determination, alliance, and the wisdom to use power responsibly. The galaxy was better for having humans in it, whether other species admitted it or not. And in the depths of space beyond the galactic rim, ancient precursor ruins still glowed with approval. Their gifts had gone to the right species at the right time. The galaxy was in capable hands.